I knew it. I shouldn't have been invited here tonight. You should have included me out. I can feel some of you rehearsing what you'll tell the committee. He talks like a man who misplaced his next sentence. Good. If I walked in polished, you would nod at the polish and miss the pearl. So let's begin like this. Hospitals don't exist. There, it said. Now don't walk out on me. I haven't denied what your eyes behold. I have denied its authority to tell you what is real and to dictate your peace. That is the difference between blasphemy and blessing. Do you think the God self of us builds emergency rooms in heaven because omnipotence had a bad quarter? Do you think Christ made rounds with a thermometer and then sent invoices, blessed are the insured? Or is it more likely that we have been hypnotized, mesmerized by a picture world that shouts louder than the still small voice? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. That is Scripture, and it is not a suggestion pinned to a refrigerator. It is a command to wake from the spell. We are not here to argue with shadows. We are here to name the mesmerism of separation and to behold God as the only law. Now, if your knuckles whitened a bit, breathe. I am not asking you to toss out medicine cabinets or to scold a mother for calling the nurse. I am asking you to relocate authority. Fear not, little flock. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Where? The kingdom of God is within you. Within you. Not behind a swinging door marked ICU. The moment we consent to that withinness, fear begins to loosen, quietly, almost shyly, because there is nothing to guard against when love is the only presence. What dissolves fear without denying facts? The naming of mesmerism, this picture parading as power, is not power. We walk by faith, not by sight, not because sight is evil, but because sight is a last echo, while faith is the voice. And here is my promise to you, not as a salesman of comfort, but as one who has wept and waited. When the spell is named and God is recognized as all, the body calms, the mind steadies, and love deepens from sentiment to sight. Outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love for God and man, that is the paradox of spiritual vision. Ground rule for tonight and every day. We serve appearances compassionately while refusing them ultimacy. We will change a bandage, yes, but not our God. We will carry water, but not dread. We will speak softly to pain and more softly to the one presence where pain has no decree. Perfect love casteth out fear. Let us begin there. Let us put a name to the draft that keeps blowing out your candle. World mesmerism. It is the collective hypnosis that says matter is the monarch, chance is the priest, and fear is the law. It is the choir of headlines humming, be realistic, while the spirit whispers, be reborn. Scripture says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Do you hear the pivot? Not conformed to the world picture, but renewed to the God vision. Mesmerism is nothing personal. It is a universal fog that talks loudly through statistics, horoscopes, and heartbreak, insisting that life is outside you, against you, and timed by a clock. Now let me needle you with questions until the false comfort gives way to true assurance. Do you think the God self of us authored ICUs, or did God give life and we authored emergencies by believing in a life apart? Do you think the God self sowed cancers like seeds, or did humanhood water fear until shadows looked like forests? Do you think the God self sent famines, or did our separated seeing build storehouses for a few and lock doors for the many? God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If darkness appears, must we fix the light or question the shade we are standing under, which is law, God, or the clock, which governs spirit, or a chart? Here is our framework. and it will grind the teeth of pride until they surrender. All discord arises from a sense of selfhood apart from God. The first disease is I apart. The first healing is I and my Father are one. As long as I am the patient or the practitioner, the fearful parent or the clever fixer, I am arguing with the fog as if it were granite. But when the God Self stands where the person stood, the air clears. In him we live and move and have our being, not outside trying to get in. So, yes, in the human scene we have hospitals, medicines, invoices, and kind hands. Bless them as instruments, refuse them as decrees. In divine reality, they have no charter. Love never legislated triage. Let's twist that Bible right side up and say it plain. Appearances are to be served with compassion, but only God is to be obeyed. And our method? We do not swing at fog. We name the spell and turn on light. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. We stop arguing with shadows. We witness law. We resist not evil, not by surrender, but by seeing through it until only presence remains. Then fear loosens not by struggle, but by dawn. Now comes the hard kindness. Let the patient die, and let the practitioner die. I knew it. Someone just decided never to invite me again. But listen to Paul, I die daily. He did not say, I schedule a dramatic exit at 93. He said daily. Each time a wave of fear rises, it is not the body crying, it is the personal role defending its throne. So we practice this funeral without flowers. Not I, not the frightened patient, not I, not the clever practitioner. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. That is not poetry for funerals. It is a method for Tuesday at 3 a.m. What dies? The self that lives inside charts and diagnoses, the self that swells with credentials or collapses under symptoms, the self that thinks its breath is its life. Use the chart, but don't live in it. Wear the credentials, but don't live inside the ink. Touch the body, but don't move into it with your address and a rocking chair. It's a tomb if you live in it. It's an instrument if you use it from the God Self. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy and know that I am Panic's assistant. Be still enough to slip outside the costume and let the life be the actor. Do you think the God Self requires a private hero to rescue it? Do you think omnipresence needs your adrenaline? Or is it truer that presence functions best when there is no little manager elbowing God for the clipboard? The hand uses the glove. The life uses the role. When the role forgets, it is a glove. It strangles the very hand that would animate it. So here is our daily drill. Simple, ruthless, freeing. When the pulse jumps, whisper within, I die now to the patient, I die now to the practitioner. Father, glorify thyself. Then stand 1 inch behind the scene, watching rather than pushing, seeing rather than fixing. Outwardly, you may change a pillow or sign an order. Inwardly, you refuse the hypnosis of my fear, my skill, my outcome. The fear loosens because there is no private self left to protect, only presence, acting as presence. Perfect love casteth out fear, not because love hugs the patient tighter, but because love reveals there was never a separate life to be threatened. When we live like this outside the body using it, outside the badge using it, work becomes clear and light. When I am weak, then am I strong, because the personal weakness is the door through which the impersonal strength walks in unopposed. Die daily, and you will find you do not disappear. The fog does. And in that clearing, healing is not performed, it is witnessed. Now, Since we have buried the personal healer and the frightened patient, what is left to bring to a bedside? Love, but not the kind that leaks, not the kind that throws its arms around fear and calls the embrace mercy. Love, as Christ used it, is not an emotion that passes between two scared selves. It is a seeing that refuses to let the picture be the verdict. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Single, not double. One, presence, not God, plus panic. Pure seeing heals because it beholds God where the world writes diagnosis. Do you think it helps a drowning man if you jump in without a rope because you felt sad for him? That is pity and emotional interchange, a transfer of panic in the costume of kindness. Do you think the God self of you needs your tears to lubricate omnipotence? Or is it truer that when you are insulated outwardly, cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love for God and man, you become a clear window for grace? Insulation is not indifference, it is faithfulness. It is the monastic life lived in the ward, in the living room, in the street, no sticky exchange of fear, only the steady warmth of presence. At the bedside, your voice may be even your hands precise. Someone will whisper, "How can you be so calm?" And you will not say, "Because I don't care." You will say nothing because you are caring with a different organ. You are seeing, not sympathizing. When he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion, but his compassion fed them, healed them, forgave them. It did not sit down and trade despair. Christ's love was vision. He looked upon a withered hand and said, "Stretch forth thine hand," not "Tell me more about how unfair this is." Vision, not sentiment, restores. And now let me offend your tribal sensibilities and free you by the same blow. Universal love does not prefer your children to your neighbor's children, your nation to another's, your sect to their sect. If ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? And again he asked, Who is my mother, and who are my brethren? And then pointed to whoever did the will of the Father. That is our family registry. The Good Samaritan crossed the road without checking Ancestry.com. If you and I are to see with Christ's eye, our circle must be a sphere without edges, no private corners where fear is pampered and called devotion. Service follows the same law. We do not solicit healings. Do you think the God Self runs advertisements, special on miracles this week? We are not spiritual salesmen. We are witnesses. We live quietly. And when a sincere approach comes, when the heart has ripened beyond argument, we respond wholly, day and night if need be, until harmony is revealed. Freely ye have received. Freely give. Freely does not mean foolishly. It means without the hooks of ego or the bait of approval. We do not go fishing for cases. We stand as presence, and those appointed to our door will find it. Keep this picture. A lantern with glass walls. The flame within is hot. Oh, yes, it burns for God and man, but the glass keeps the wind of emotional interchange from blowing it out. That is insulation. That is love that lasts the whole night through. Pity flickers and smokes the room. Impersonal love illuminates it. Stand there, see there, bless there, and you will discover that perfect love casteth out fear, not by wrestling with fear, but by seeing so purely that fear cannot find a place to land. Now, if you ask me, where do you learn that kind of seeing? I will not send you to a shelf of commentaries. I will hand you a little book with the Master's words in red and say, carry this and let it carry you, not to quote at people, but to let those words read you until the old religion of retaliation drains out and the new wine of presence begins to glow in the cup. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and the ward lights flicker with vengeance, dressed up as justice. But I say unto you, resist not evil. Do you feel the shock? The Master twists the law right side up and shows us God as present love, not a magistrate with a ledger. And there, in that pivot, fear begins to loosen because there is no longer a judge over you, only a Father within you. Have a red letter New Testament in your pocket or purse. Get so familiar with the voice that it interrupts your reflex. And then, please don't recite, rephrase, twist that Bible into living speech in your own mouth. When you read, forgive 70 times 7, say, today I drop the count. I release debt until counting itself dissolves. When you hear, judge not, say, I place no man, no cell, no prognosis in condemnation. When you come to, neither do I condemn thee, go and sin no more, say I withhold all stones, and behold the Christ where the accuser saw a case. The point is not to memorize a museum. The point is to let the living Christ take your tongue and steady your hands. Do you think the God self heals by scolding? Has a single fever ever broken because someone deserved it? Bad theology makes worse medicine. I will have mercy and not sacrifice, says the Master. And every time you and I lean into punishment as a cure, we lay another burden on a back already bent. The healing hermeneutic is this. The physician is the presence. The case, however grim the costume, is the Christ announcing itself for recognition. The woman with the issue of blood did not pass an exam. She touched and was told, Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. The storm did not file an apology. It heard, Peace, be still, and sat down like a trained dog. Walk the halls with these lines, not as charms, but as chiropractic for your seeing. Fear not, only believe. In your own words, fear, you have no signature here. Be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid. In your own words, presence is here. Panic has no office. Let the red letters lay their hands upon your mind until retaliation cannot find a chair in you. Then when you meet a face twisted by pain, or a ledger swollen with bills, you do not add the weight of guilt. You subtract it. You do not hunt for culprits. You witness Christ. And in that atmosphere, quiet, obedient to the Master's voice, fear discovers it has no appointment, and punishment, having lost its pulpit, sits down and is very still. Now we must settle something earthy, because heaven, if it is heaven, must walk on your floorboards. The body first. It is an automobile. Jump in. Use it. Jump out. Don't build a condo in the chassis. Is not the life more than meat and the body than raiment? Do you think the God self is cramped inside your rib cage like a tenant in a small apartment? Or is it nearer to truth that life is the driver and the body, the car, useful for errands, retired to the garage at night, junked when it no longer serves? It's a tomb if you're living inside it. It's only a body if you're outside using it as an instrument. Take no thought for your life was not a command to neglect the oil and tires. It was an order to stop worshiping the dashboard. Now, money. My next incarnation as a branch bank manager will not thank me for this, but God gives us some dollar bills to play with. Marbles. Counters in a game, not the meaning of your breath. Do you think the God self checks your credit score before giving you the sunrise? Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Serve God, and mammon stands like a polite servant. Serve mammon, and God seems like a rumor. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Put your treasure in presence, and the marbles know where to roll. Render unto Caesar his coin without moving into Caesar's house. Render unto God the heart, and panic loses its leverage. Diagnoses, invoices, handle them as tools, never as verdicts. A diagnosis is a map for the mechanic. It is not the climate of God. An invoice is a piece of paper. It is not an obituary. Owe no man anything but to love one another, pay what is prudent, arrange what is possible, and owe love absolutely. Do you think omnipresence is impressed by decimals or frightened by cholesterol? The only number that rules your being is one. Here is how non-attachment unties the knot in the gut. When a symptom shouts, step outside the chassis. Father, I refuse residence in dust. Use this body, I will not live in it. Then do the next simple thing, drink water, take the walk, call the nurse without moving your address from God to flesh. When a bill arrives with teeth, bless the flow. Father, thou art the source. This paper is not a decree. Call the office calmly, make an honest plan, and watch clarity return because hysteria has been evicted. Freedom is not floating away. Freedom is standing where life stands and letting instruments be instruments. The moment you stop living inside the body and the bills, fear loosens, sight clears, practical steps appear as naturally as dawn, and in that simple sanity, hospitals shrink back to their human size, money to its toy box, and you outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love, walk on unburdened and very kind. The start of the spiritual life is almost always a state of self-deception. I say that tenderly because I lived it, and I suspect you've had your turn at the microphone too. The first prayers that flower, the sudden peace in a troubled home, the fever that slips away in the night we mistake the fragrance for the garden and begin autographing God's work. We quote scripture better than we live it. We pass out cards, we rehearse results in the mirror, and the heart puffs like yeast in warm dough. Do you think the God self of us signed your press clippings? Do you think omnipresence needs a logo? Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And the master's cool wind answers, I never knew you. He is not scolding deeds. He is unmasking doers. So the wise love arranges a mercy that feels like judgment. The early high fades, and the necessary night arrives. The lamp goes dim. The method that worked yesterday sits like a stone today. The verses taste like cardboard on the tongue. You kneel silence. You weep silence. You argue, the silence only deepens. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? That cry is not atheism. It is the last air leaving the lungs of pride. In that night there is no technique to fetch presence and no leverage to move God. Only this, not my will but thine be done. We sit in our sackcloth. We let the personal healer die without embalming him in reputation. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. It is a blackness that bleaches the self until only transparency is left. No bargaining, no schedules, no proof text to comfort vanity, just stillness while the roots are washed clean. When dawn comes, and it does, as quietly as dew, you find the work appears to do itself. A visit here, a call there, a few words, then silence, a light touch, then a longer waiting. You do not push, you notice. You do not perform, you witness. The voice is softer, the seeing surer, the outcome steady without fanfare. He must increase, but I must decrease. Authority has no trumpet, it wears slippers. Outwardly cold-blooded, unflustered, unhurried, inwardly overheated with love for God and man, glowing without smoke. And the ethic clarifies. We don't market miracles. We keep vigil. We do not solicit cases. We answer the sincere approach with our whole life, if need be day and night, until harmony is revealed. Could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Yes, Lord, 1 hour, and another, until fear forgets its lines and presence speaks alone. This is the purification that makes service clean. The personal healer is gone. The window remains, and light passes through. Then, strangely, you are more practical than ever, more useful than ambition ever made you. You will walk softly into rooms the world calls desperate and find them obedient to peace. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning, and the morning, once it has no doer to celebrate it, does not end. Let me open some windows, not to hang medals, but to let in air. Once, near midnight, a call from 3 time zones away, breath high, words ragged, a child in a storm of fear. Do you think the God self of us needs a plane ticket? Presence is not late because clocks exist. I said very little. No slogans, no wrestling match with symptoms. Within, I named the spell. This picture, however loud, has no law. One life here, indivisible. No decree in spirit that breath be rationed. Peace be still. Then to the mother, turn on a lamp, sit quietly, say, it is I, be not afraid, and do the next simple thing the nurse has given you. 10 minutes, and the sound softened. 30, and sleep visited the room. In the morning, the doctor said the word all our egos hate because it gives no one credit. It's easing. Fear had lost its oxygen. Another day, a surgical ward humming with pity disguised as care, voices pitched high, hands too quick, charts like thunderheads, a man wide-eyed with pain, but underneath it, what? Not a case Christ straining to be seen. I stood at the foot of the bed, outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love. No speeches. Single eye. Be still, and know that I am God. Within minutes, the team's cadence steadied. Someone thought to open the blinds. Another lowered a voice. A small change in timing for a medication that common sense had been shouting for an hour, but panic had been drowning out. The patient's breathing unhooked from fear. The lines on his brow untied themselves. Did I do that? No. Hysteria lost its foreman, and presence took the shift. And the prison, the place we send people when we have run out of imagination, week after week I went, not to bargain with sorrow, not to tell men how wicked they were and then expect them to bear fruit in winter. I refused condemnation. Neither do I condemn thee. I read the red letters until the concrete listened. Forgive, love your enemies, bless them that curse you. Do you think hatred reforms? Or is it truer that when no man is held in a frozen picture, the heart remembers what it is? A man with fists for a face softened. He wrote to the mother he had not called in 9 years. Fights died down on Tuesdays, the guards told me, the day after our circle. What did you do, they asked. Nothing clever. We named the mesmerism of criminal. We universalized love and fear. Could not find a place to sit. Now hear this cleanly. These are windows, not trophies. We keep no scrapbook. Rejoice not that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. The point is not that a symptom slid away at midnight, or that a ward exhaled, or that a cell block went quiet. The point is the presence that was always the point. When the spell of separation is exposed and love is rendered impersonal and universal, fear loses oxygen. Then harmony, sometimes as relief of pain, sometimes as right action, always as peace has room to appear. That is all, and that is enough. You want a kit you can carry in your pocket when the ward tilts, when the phone rings at midnight, when your own chest tightens as if a small fist had found its way in. Good. Do you think the God self of you asks for a complicated ritual with incense and Latin while a child is crying in the next room? Or is it truer that presence teaches us moves so simple they can be done between heartbeats? 3 quiet turns, that's all. And a watchman at the door because panic knocks early and loud, and we must answer before it drags furniture into the foyer. First turn, Name the mesmerism. Whisper it if you can. Shout it inside if you must. This fear, this symptom, this diagnosis is world mesmerism. It has no law in God. Not an argument with the picture, an identification of the spell. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is not a verdict against a person. It is a verdict against hypnosis. When you name the fog, you have already turned your face toward light. Do you think darkness objects? It dissolves. That is its only trick. Say it cleanly and refuse add-ons, no adjectives, no drama. Mesmerism named is mesmerism disarmed. Second turn, return to identity. Lay down the badge and the bruise and stand where life stands. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Say it once, then be silent. 1 to 3 minutes, no incantations, no counting icicles, no theater. Be still and know that I am God. Sit inside that sentence until the edges of your name go soft and the center brightens. Let breath happen. Let thought pass. Let the inner room clear of furniture. Do you think omnipresence needs you to help it be present? Rest. Let the river carry the boat. If a thought intrudes, let it be this, simple as a held hand. I and my Father are one. Third turn. Universalize love. Open the circle until it has no rim. Bless the patient, yes, by seeing Christ there. Bless the staff, the hurried, the harried. Bless the family, the tired, the fierce, the frightened. Bless yourself, the glove on the hand. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, which is to say, forgive the spell, and with it all the small violences panic commits. Hold no man, no institution, no cell in condemnation. Perfect love casteth out fear. Cast nothing out by force. Let love make fear homeless. Now, a daily bread that keeps these turns alive. Carry the red letters. 1 line a day. Rephrase it until it is your marrow. Fear not, only believe. Becomes fear has no office here. Presence presides. Bless them that curse you becomes. I add no weight of blame today. Peace, be still becomes. Hush now, God is the only law. Let the master's tone tune your own until, without reaching for the book, the word rises of itself and steadies your hand. Set a watchman at the door of your mind. Notice the first tremor, the lifted shoulder, the shallow breath, the headline that hooks and at once, without ceremony, move, name, rest, bless. 30 seconds in a hallway, 2 minutes in a chair, a minute and a half at the sink. Do you think panic can find a seat in a room already occupied by presence? A simple sequence: name, rest, bless, open space for God, and closes the door on hysteria. Outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated with love, you will walk back into the same room and find it different, because you are different. Less you, more light. And fear, having lost its foreman, will go off shift before the kettle sings or the headlines march in with their brass band. We die quietly before coffee. I die daily, not I, but Christ liveth in me. No performance, an invisible transfer of residence from the little manager to the life. Name the spell, waiting in the phone, the inbox, the mirror. Rest a minute in, be still, and know that I am God. Bless the house, the city, the day. Do you think the world needs your panic more than your presence? Step back into the body like a driver into a car, useful, not ultimate, and walk in the ward. Be punctual and light. Charts are read, hands washed, pills counted. Identity is in none of it. The single eye looks through numbers and sees life where decimals pretend to rule. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. We stop importing tomorrow's storms into this room. Do the next right thing, then the next. Cheerful as clerks in our Father's shop. Treatments are instruments, outcomes are gods. Smile, speak little, adjust pillow, open blind, let order become sacrament. Boundaries are love with shoes on. We do not crusade, we answer the calls we are given, and when a sincere approach comes, we give our whole life until harmony appears. Otherwise, we pass by keeping peace. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. A clean no is as holy as a yes. It keeps the lamp trimmed. Do you think God needs you scattered to be useful? Keep the circle assigned today small to the eye, obedient to the spirit, and effectiveness multiplies without noise. Shops and headlines become practice fields. At the counter, render unto Caesar with a light wrist, pay plan, and bless the clerk by seeing Christ, not commission. In the aisle, choose what is needed and leave what flatters. Take no thought. What ye shall eat does not ban groceries. It bans anxiety as God. On the screen, when the nations rage, name the mesmerism, refuse the sticky thrill of outrage, pray for all sides, and take none against love. Bless them that curse you. Hold the world in non-condemnation, and your errands shorten. The breath remembers to be quiet. By evening the bubbles return quiet, clean joy for no reason but God. Not triumph, not fatigue, dressed as piety, simple aliveness. Rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Empty the pockets of outcomes, hang the day like a coat, and rest where we began. I and my Father are one. Live as witness, not warrior, engaged, ordered, and free of the spell that makes the world heavy. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. That is not a slogan. It is the footprint of an unmesmerized day. Now we must nail the sign to the door so no one mistakes the shop. When I say hospitals don't exist, I can hear some of you whispering, well then, what did I pass on the way here? We are not denying appearances, we are denying their ultimacy. We are not looking away, we are seeing through. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. In divine reality, there are no decrees of disease, no institutions ordained by spirit to house despair. In the human scene, there are buildings, beds, bandages. We thank God for every clean sheet and skillful hand. But the fear that makes a hospital a kingdom, no. My kingdom is not of this world. When we see that, we become better neighbors because panic stops writing our prescriptions for how to love. Do you think fright makes you kinder? Do you think tightening your jaw increases accuracy with a thermometer? When the spell is named, the shoulders drop. Breath remembers itself. The small wisdoms come back online. Fruit of sight, less fear, so fewer frictions. Clearer service, so fewer words. Truer touch, deeper tenderness, so less sticky pity and more steady warmth. Outwardly cold-blooded, inwardly overheated, with love for God and man, we stop arguing with shadows and start adjusting pillows, calling the nurse at the right minute, hearing the quiet prompting that says, open the blind. Let not your heart be troubled. Trouble loudens, love listens. So here are our standing orders, simple enough to carry, stern enough to save you from drift. Die daily. Before the kettle sings, lay the small manager down. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Carry the red letters and rephrase them until they walk in your shoes. Fear not, only believe becomes, fear has no office here. Hold no man in condemnation, not the patient, not the payer, not yourself. Neither do I condemn thee. Treat body and money as instruments. Jump in, use them. Jump out, don't live inside. Render to Caesar without moving into his house. Render to God the heart. If you forget, begin again. If you stumble, begin again. One life retries its lesson until we smile. And now, the benediction with a twist. Let's twist that Bible upside down until love is right side up in our living. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Go and do thou likewise. Walk into the ward, the shop, the headline, denying ultimacy, not utility, seeing through, not looking away. Be a witness, not a worrier, a lantern, not a siren. Lo, I am with you always. That is the whole commission and the whole comfort. I and my Father are one, and therefore I can afford to be kind.